Goblin Rock Sled is really funny. Goblin Rock Sled is a 3/1 creature that costs 1 and a red mana. It has trample, and it doesn't untap during your upkeep if it attacked last turn. Oh yeah, and it can't attack unless defending player controls a mountain. That's a lot of downside, but I guess it makes sense. It is a 3/1 trampler for 2 mana. So, Goblin Rock Sled is a pretty bad card, but there are a couple of interesting things to say about it. First off, it isn't as bad as it seems because it came out in the same set as Blood Moon. So while I wouldn't call it good, it is pretty reasonable to assume your opponent will have a mountain if they were playing anything other than basic lands. The part where it only gets to untap every other turn is pretty brutal though. I'm not sure how to justify that. Also, this came out in the same set as Ball Lightning, which is just endlessly funny to me. Why would you fuck with this at all when you could instead Ball Lightning? I guess it's also worth noting that this card isn't a goblin. Okay, that's not true. It is a goblin. Look at the errata, it says it right there. Goblin. But if you were playing this card back in the day, this is not a goblin. It's a rock sled. But if it was like representing the rock sled, you'd think it would be an artifact, right? These days it would be a vehicle, but it's just a red creature that says goblin in the title, but doesn't say goblin in the type line. That was in the Dark, which is the first set that set up any sort of typal synergies of any kind, other than a couple of one-off designs in Alpha. And they named the card Goblin Rock Sled in the set that gave you benefits for running goblins, and then made this not a goblin. That's so fucking funny. To be fair though, not being a goblin is not strictly a downside in this set. It does mean that you can sneak your Goblin Rock Sled through Tividar's Crusade, which is pretty useful. Oh, this card is so fucking funny. I don't actually have too much to say about this card, which is partially why I picked it. The holidays are busy and I'm in the middle of being away from home for 8 days, so some shorter videos were needed. I also think it kind of looks like a Santa hat on this goblin, so I figured it would be funny to do this shortly after Christmas. Anyway, I want to hear what you think of Goblin Rock Sled. How did you rule this back in the day? Was it a goblin or nah? Did you guys resolve this difference in the parking lot, or did you just talk it out? Love to hear any stories you have about this dumb card because I think it's really funny. Let's talk about the art though. Goblin Rock Sled was illustrated by Dennis Dittwiller, which was unfortunately misprinted as Denise Dittwiller in The Dark. That's pretty awkward, but it did get fixed in the 4th edition version. The art on this card is fantastic though. Dennis did fantastic. I think the perspective is great. The look on the goblin as he whips down a literal mountain at what I imagine are some pretty insane speeds is so funny. The crackling of the gravel under the rock sled is also a nice touch, and the saliva and snot blowing past the goblin is wonderful. This card is so funny to me, and it's even better now because you can sacrifice it to Goblin Grenade. So now it's like the perfect card. That's all there is to say about Rock Sled though. It didn't get printed much, and there are no other arts for this card. So yeah, I guess I'll see you tomorrow maybe. You can like the video if you liked it. You can subscribe if you give a shit, but either way, I hope you have a magical day. Thanks for watching.